one of the benefits of becoming a member of our keepyourassets.net when you order our ultimate asset protection and privacy toolkit is you get a lifetime membership. And in that membership, as we find newer and better tools, we will adopt them. And if New Mexico ever becomes a liability, we will drop them very fast and find the whatever the next best thing is. Another benefit is we have a members forum in there where you can benefit from the collective knowledge of other users, other members, and learn what they're doing to protect their assets and achieve more privacy. So obviously all of you on this webinar know the benefits of being networked and being plugged in with a community that has common goals and interests. So I hope that answered that question. It was a long answer to a short question. I apologize.
No, yeah, that was it. That was exactly what I was hoping for. So thanks. So Andrew has a question about using a real name. Andrew, I'm going to take you off of mute. Just a second here. Andrew, can you hear me?
I can. Well, hey, first of all, thanks for hosting this, guys. That was great, especially the Bitcoin stuff. My most pressing question is whether or not there is actually a situation where you would use your real name in an online business, whether, especially if it follows in well with your offline life, say engineer in real life and engineering consulting online.
Great question, and Andrew, absolutely. What the internet allows you to do is it allows you to have options, and so what I've discovered is that as we go about our lives, we can actually create multiple identities. And so you could have online identities, you can have extremely private identities, you can have extremely public identities. And one thing I didn't mention earlier is some of you may be aware, but the NSA is building a multi-billion-dollar spy facility outside of Bluffdale, Utah, as we speak. And already they're recording every phone conversation. They're recording this webinar right here. Every text you send, every internet search you make, every email you send is all being recorded right now, and it has been for some time. And it's being stored for later retrieval. And if you ever become out of favor with the current powers that be, they can go in and do a search for anyone that meets a certain profile, and you could find yourself becoming a persecuted person. And so it's extremely chilling and scary with what they can do with that power. So if you're going to do anything that's not mainstream, if it's something that's anything other than the politically correct, common, popular viewpoint, you want to do those types of activities or opinions through a private identity that does not lead back to where you sleep at night. So you don't have those thugs kicking down your door at 5 a.m. in the morning because you happen to fall on the wrong side of the political favoritism of the day. But with that said, obviously we have identities in meat space or physical worlds, and we have talents, and we have reputations that we can leverage. So by all means, leverage those to the hilt. But what you can do is you can have additional identities that can help you in other areas as well. So what this does, it just gives you more options. So does that help, Andrew?
It does, yeah. So anything that would be looked upon as more legitimate by the powers that be, say, a fine, upstanding engineering style career is no issue, and it's only my personal privacy that I have to watch out for. Anything that's a little bit more risque, I might want some other name.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything controversial, and right now the big persecuted minority, or majority, I should say, is gun owners. So gun owners are coming under tremendous attack right now, and whether you do or don't agree with the Second Amendment in the U.S., you can find yourself on an unpopular side and put yourself at risk. So,
okay, just the quickest follow-up on that. If you do have two identities, is it enough to have two different browsers in the same computer, or are we running separate computers?
You can use two separate browsers. I have a lot of resources in our members area. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
there's one I just added, but it's also on the front end of our website, and this is something worth noting. On our website, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to it right now on my screen. If everyone can still view my screen, it's going to take me a second to get there. But you'll see the keepyourassets.net. On the upper right menu, there's a section that says News. So you click on News, and this is something that if any of this, if you value your life, liberty, or property, this is something you might want to check in with once a week or so. But we'll wait for this to open up. But I have a link here that says click here to view our new asset protection magazine. So I'm going to click on that and let it open up. And what this is a place where I curate and gather different articles that affect your life, liberty, and property. And so what I wanted to point out here to you is I'll just scroll down this page, and just bear with me as we go through this. I've got to find it here. First and foremost, there's an article, a video here that you can click on. It says Buy Guns, Drugs, and Porn Online with Bitcoin, and that's the one with Stossel in Reason Magazine. There's a really good interview there. I'm going to try and find what I was wanting to talk about here, and I can't find it offhand, but it's here. There's a lot of good stuff here, and I guess my point is just plug in with that, and you'll pick up some. So you just be aware of the threats that are out there and what you can do to deal with those. So I don't know if that answered the question, or do you need to repeat that, because maybe I lost the question.
No, actually you did. Your first sentence answered it. Being able to just use separate browsers will be enough for most.
So that, I apologize. This, if you'll see this on my screen, you see this picture, a video, and it has the boobs over a coffee cup, right? In case you can't tell what that is, that's what it is. So
it's not showing. It's still, we're still looking at Nancy Pelosi. It looks like.
Okay. Yeah, my delay is happening. But anyway, you scroll down that page on the right-hand side. It says Introduction to Operational Security, and it's actually a video that these hackers made that point out the errors that a lot of these hacktivists made when they were out doing their activism. And the guy points out some of the things you should do to protect your identity and your privacy, and so you don't go to jail, basically. And so even though I don't condone any attacks on private property, you can learn from these hacktivists as to how they preserve their privacy. The anonymous and those types of activists out there, they know how to use good computer security. At least some of them do. This guy in this video explains how all the mistakes, those guys that got caught, why they got caught. So that's a really good video, just helping you get a feel for how hardcore you can get if you wanted to really protect your privacy. So anyway, so that's that question.
That's great. Thank you, guys. I'll get back in queue if I have another question, but I appreciate the webinar, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew.
Awesome.
All right. Looks like Ben has a question. Ben, I'm going to take you off of mute so you can go ahead and ask your question about Bitcoin. And you should be live. Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Hey, I'm. It's a little early in the morning. I'm down here in PG. But yes, thank you for this webinar. It's fantastic information. I have a quick question about the Bitcoin. I wanted to ask how long you guys think it will take Bitcoin to become a like a mainstream currency for all web payments.
Great question. Kevin, do you have an opinion? I could throw mine in, but if you have one, you can.
Yeah, I've really only been studying Bitcoin. I mean, I've been aware of it for over a year, but I just started taking it seriously over the last month or so. And I'm going to start using it. I'm going to start buying it and definitely accepting it on my website. As far as I can tell, I think it's a couple of years away from being mainstream. But I think the more discussion we have, like webinars like this and just talking to people about it, getting it out there. I think if most of us in the DC, let's say, just put a Bitcoin symbol on our site, just saying we accept Bitcoin, stuff like that, I think is going to make it go viral because it makes so much sense. And I think right now it's mainly among the like kind of tech geek community. They're pretty aware of it, but outside of that, not so much. So I think that's the right now that's the goal, is to get it out in more more of a mixed audience. And I know that most of us here hate PayPal, and I can speak for I think most people that are doing business online. So it's not a hard sell to say, hey, there's an alternative, and you don't have to deal with all the problems that go along with PayPal. So in that sense, I think yeah, I mean, my guess is about 2 years away.
Absolutely, that's my opinion as well. I think on the inside 2 years, on the outside 10 years, and let me pop up the screen here because I put a couple of links that are really, I check into. There's one called BitcoinTalk.org, and this is kind of the official, unofficial forums for Bitcoin. And you can jump on there, debate all you want, hear all the news, the gossip, the craziness that goes on. But it's a good place to check in once in a while and kind of get a pulse for what's going on in the community. And because we are in internet time, this could go. This could really gain mainstream adoption very quickly, especially if we have, which I think we will have sooner rather than later, the next financial crisis. The whole financial system right now is broken, and that's why we're being harassed every time we want to do a bank wire or open up an account or do a PayPal transaction. The system is broken. It's an old system that wasn't meant for the internet, and as that system implodes, people are going to be flocking to safer alternatives. And also, the government-controlled monetary systems are broken, and they've mismanaged their currencies to the point that people are losing confidence there as well. So we could see the perfect storm as the financial system crumbles, as countries go bankrupt, as banks and fraud go through the roof, people will desperately be looking for alternatives. And I think we're going to see a huge capital inflow into Bitcoin. And I'm of the personal opinion that if you just took, maybe a small portion of your assets and put them in Bitcoin and forget about them for 5 years, they're going to be worth 10, 20, 30 times more than they are now, in my opinion. And so I think it can happen very quickly. At the latest, 10 years. Within 2 years, it is probably more likely because we are in internet time, instant communications. I mean, all it takes is another big player like WordPress to announce they're accepting Bitcoin. Being at about 10.5, 11 dollars a Bitcoin. Now it's up to over 14 today. So it moves very fast. One thing you can do that will help you get set up quickly is, I've got up on the screen here a website called bitpay.com. They have a really nice plugin that you can put on your website that just makes it really easy to start accepting Bitcoin. If you're into writing your own APIs and stuff like that, there's another website that's one of my favorites. It's called blockchain.info, and I'm going to just type it up here on the screen so you guys can see it. And this is a great, in the Bitcoin world, you don't have accounts, you have what are called wallets. And a Bitcoin wallet is you're your own bank, and so you can store it on your computer or on the web. And blockchain.info is one of these web-based wallets that has some really good features built into it, and you can go, that's where I tell everyone who's new to Bitcoin, you can go set up your first wallet there at blockchain.info. Pay attention to their security recommendations, and then you're off and running to the races. But they've got a really good API that you can use to plug into your websites to accept payments and automatic confirmations so that they can people can buy your info product and immediately get a confirmation, and then they can go to their link and download their product.